Back in Jacksonville, where it has rained all morning into the afternoon, although the rain has slowed down a bit over the last hour. Today's game is available in Spanish by utilizing your SAP button on your television. The Jacksonville Jaguars have won the toss. Two playoff teams a year ago. Steve Mariucci in his third season as 49ers head coach, and what a terrific job he's done. Record of 25-7. Perfect at home during the regular season. And Tom Coughlin, in his fifth year, the only head coach in the history of the Jaguars. Playoffs the last 3 seasons. Jaguars will receive the opening kickoff. Reggie Barlow, one of the best in the business, Pro Bowl alternate as a kick returner last year. Averaged just under 25 yards per kick return. Wade Ritchie getting set to kick it off for the San Francisco 49ers. Both teams 3-1 during the preseason. Ritchie using one of the specially marked kicking footballs. One of the new rule changes in the NFL this season. Still raining here in Jacksonville. And we are underway. The 1999 National Football League season. Barlow 4 yards deep in the end zone, and the Jaguars will start from their own 20-yard line. Led by two-time Pro Bowl quarterback Mark Brunell, who will turn 29 years of age on Friday. Team record 20 touchdown passes, only 9 interceptions last season. Baselli and Searcy, best tackle combination in the league. Question marks on the inside. Wade making his first regular season start. The center, Tilsky and Wiegert, the former Ram, are the guards. Fred Taylor, along with the fullback Damon Shelton, Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell are the wide receivers, and the tight end is the former New York Jet, Kyle Brady. On first down, Fred Taylor cuts to the outside and gains 4 yards. Lance Schulters made the stop for the 49ers. And there is Bryant Young making his return from the horrific injury suffered in the Monday night game last November. He has made it back, and starting on opening day along with Gabe Wilkins, Junior Bryant, and Marvin Washington, the linebacking core with Ken Norton Jr. McMillan, along with Darnell Walker, Schulters, and McDonald. Burton Hanks was released earlier this week. Second down and 6 from the 24, and Taylor is hit for a loss. Tim McDonald coming up from the strong safety spot.
Defensive coordinator Jim Mora, new defensive coordinator, told us yesterday one of the things he wanted to change about this defense was to make them more upfield. Hit the gaps, get in the gaps, and bring Tim McDonald up. Let him do what he does best, play strong safety like a linebacker.
Charles Haley has checked into the game on third down for the 49ers. His first regular season action since 1996. Brunell out of the shotgun, 3rd and 6 with 3 wide receivers. Under pressure, incomplete. Looking for the tight end, Brady.
If you talk about aggressiveness, it's third down and you bring the blitz. That is aggressive defensive play calling. It's exactly what Jim Mora told us he wanted to do. It's exactly what he's done. And that man there, Charles Haley, does more than give them a pass rusher. He is an inspiration. He's the only player in the National Football League that owns 5 Super Bowl rings. He said the reason he's here this year is to make it 6.
R.W. McQuarters back deep, awaiting Brian Barker's punt. Barker from his own 10. And McQuarters will field it at the 37, and it is forced back. Terrific special teams effort by the Jaguars. Rich Griffith and Alvis Whitted, the backup wide receiver. 39-yard punt, a loss of 2 on the return, and there is Whitted who made the stop. So now Steve Young leads the 49ers onto the field, one of the all-time greats in his 15th National Football League season. Led the NFL with a career-high 36 touchdown passes a year ago. The men protecting Young, and Charlie Garner, the former Eagle, in the backfield. Play action on first down. Young can't find anyone, and he slides to the 40-yard line. A pickup of 4, perhaps 5 yards. Kevin Hardy in on the stop for the Jaguars. looking to move up the charts defensively this year. Gary Walker coming over from Tennessee. Hardy with McManus and Martz. And in the secondary, Carnell Lake, the longtime Pittsburgh Steeler, who has gone to 4 Pro Bowls in 10 seasons. Young on second down as the 49ers keep it on the ground. And Seth Payne was the first one in to make the stop on Charlie Garner.
Defensively, the Jacksonville Jaguars have 2 priorities. One is to put pressure on Steve Young. 2 is to stop the run. If they can keep the 49ers in a one-dimensional offense, then the Jacksonville Jaguars feel like they have a much better chance to win. I know that Steve Young, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, and J.J. Stokes is a tough order, but you'd rather have that than have that and a dose of Charlie Garner as well.
3 wideouts. Lawrence Phillips in for the first time as the lone back. Young on 3rd and 6. Bobbled by the tight end Chad Fann, a Jacksonville native. Donovan Darius on the coverage.
And there you see the injury factor for the 49ers. Greg Clark, their starting tight end, is out. Chad Fann is the next best thing that the 49ers have. He does a nice job on that, almost gets himself open, but he's not able to pull that catch in.
Reggie Barlow, who returned a punt 88 yards in a preseason game against Dallas last week. And rookie Chad Stanley, free agent out of Stephen F. Austin, with his first National Football League regular season punt. Barlow from the 15. And he is upended as he hit the 20-yard line. Only a 5-yard return, 45-yard punt by Stanley.
Well, this isn't the beginning that you would expect from this type of game, Kenny. You would expect with these 2 kind of offenses that you wouldn't see 3 and out from one team and 3 and out from the other team. But so far, both defenses doing a nice job, playing aggressive, getting into the gaps and disrupting the other offense behind the line of scrimmage.
Backup tight end Sean Bell is the injured 49er. So both teams punt on their first possession of the season. First down for the Jaguars from their own 20-yard line. Tavian Banks in motion. The handoff to Fred Taylor. And he picks up 1 yard on first down, so it will be 2nd and 9. Again, Tim McDonald in on the stop.
Tim McDonald again. Now, a little history here over the past week. Merton Hanks, the free safety for so many years, a town favorite, a team favorite, was let go. He was replaced by Lance Schulters, a young player who showed the ability to hit in the preseason. The thing that Schulters gives them is another player that can stop the run as well as Tim McDonald. You'll see both of those guys up in the 8-man front today.
Schulters making his first NFL start. Here's Taylor on the pitch back from Brunell. Forced out of bounds at the 25 by Winford Tubbs and Ken Norton Jr. after a gain of 4.
When you talk about this Niner defense, again, you know, it is a new defense. Again, this was a defense that struggled last year. They didn't feel that they carried their part of the weight. Outstanding offense. They're in the gaps this year. There's not a lot of 2-gap up there. They want to let these guys, each man, get in the gap, and it makes it easier for the linebackers and the safeties to be more decisive as to where they need to fill.
3rd and 5. Jaguars went 3 and out on their first offensive series. 3 wide receivers. Brunell from the shotgun. Can't find anyone and is taken down. Jeff Posey, a second-year man out of Southern Mississippi.
Well, this is a nice pass rush by Jeff Posey. He comes right around the edge of Leon Searcy, and that's no small feat. But I want to tell you this. The defensive secondary for the 49ers deserves a lot of the credit here because it takes Posey a little while to get there. Brunell has nowhere to throw. These secondary guys, the cornerbacks especially, Darnell Walker, Mark McMillan, looked down upon all during preseason because of their height, 5'7" and 5'8". But they did a great job of coverage on that play.
Parker's punt nearly blocked. And it rolls out of bounds at midfield. So once again, excellent field position for the 49ers offense following the 32-yard punt by Parker.
Well, so far, Kenny, this is exactly what the young defensive coordinator, Jim Mora, wanted to do. Jim Mora Jr., of course, his father, Jim Mora Sr., the head coach for so many years of the New Orleans Saints and now with the Indianapolis Colts. Mora, I believe, the youngest defensive coordinator in the league at the age of 38. So far, his players have really taken to that new scheme.
Spent the last 2 years as the secondary coach.
There's Mora right there talking with Tim McDonald, who is a coach on the field.
First 49ers carry for Lawrence Phillips, back from the NFL Europe, where he was the offensive MVP.
Well, the key to the 49ers run game really is going to be the guys up front. And again, you talk about injuries. We mentioned it right at the beginning of this game. They've struggled with injuries. Dahlm in the center, he had his knee scoped 2 weeks ago. Dave Fury, the left guard, he had his knee scoped last week. So these guys are out there playing in pain, toughing it out, but they need to open up the holes for Phillips and Garner today if they're going to get that run going.
So Phillips gained 5 yards on his first official carry as a 49er. Play fake to Garner. Here's Tommy Vardell out of the backfield, and he picks up the game's first down. A gain of 11.
And this is why Steve Young is special, Kenny. He sees the whole field, and he has that sixth sense. You're going to see the blitz come from the backside. Lonnie Martz, the linebacker, watch him come from the right-hand side here. He's going to get Young, but Young has that sense. He dumps the ball off to Vardell just at the last second and makes this play. Tommy Vardell, by the way, not the greatest blocking fullback in the league, but has shown excellent hands and the ability to run after the catch.
4 wide receivers. The inside handoff to Phillips, tripped up after a gain of 3 by Ronaldo Wynn.
It's interesting talking with both of these teams yesterday, both quarterbacks, Mark Brunell and Steve Young, and both of them said, you know, we want to throw the ball, we want to get the ball to our receivers. We also want to run the ball, not just to run it, but to keep the ball out of the opponent's hands. Each of these guys with tremendous respect for what the other offense can do.
Try and eat up the clock. 2nd and 7, and the quick slant is caught by J.J. Stokes. Forced out of bounds inside the 25 by Aaron Beasley after a gain of 5.
Talking to Dom Capers yesterday, he said it's going to be so important for our cornerbacks to make the tackle as soon as those guys catch the ball. Listen, the 49ers have such an efficient passing game, they are going to complete passes on you. The key is stop them after they catch it. Watch Stokes here. He catches it, and he doesn't pick up very much more yardage. Pretty decent job by Aaron Beasley of tackling in the open field.
Again, 4 wideouts on 3rd and 2. Quick drop, Young over the middle, off the fingertips of Jerry Rice. He was wrapped up by Beasley.
Hey, that's great coverage by Beasley. That is just outstanding coverage. He stayed over the top of Jerry Rice. He mirrored him, and he slaps Rice's arms down at the exact perfect time, not to draw a penalty, but to break up this play. Watch it here. Look at this. There it is.
Chad Stanley is the holder. Wade Ritchie will attempt a 42-yard field goal, but first, the 49ers call timeout. The rain continues to fall here in Jacksonville. Do you think the weather benefits either club?
I don't think so. You know, the old wisdom tells you that when it's raining and there's a soft track, it benefits the team that has the better run game. Well, that would suggest that Jacksonville has the edge because Fred Taylor, as I said at the very beginning of this game, I think has the physical tools to be the best running back in the National Football League. But both Steve Young and Mark Brunell have had outstanding passing days on wet days like this.
42-yard attempt by Ritchie, and it is good. So the 49ers draw first blood as they take a 3-0 lead over the Jaguars on the 42-yard field goal by Wade Ritchie.
That was an ugly kick, but who cares?
It still counts.
Now Steve Mariucci doesn't give one hoot about a low driving kick as long as it gets through those uprights.
So both teams went 3 and out on their first possessions, and a 5-play drive setting up the Ritchie field goal.
You know, the league has instituted a new policy with kicking balls this year. The kickers have 12 balls. They're not allowed to work them and soften them up at all. And I know it's going to have an effect on kickoffs, and I think you'll also see it have an effect on field goals like that one that Ritchie had to kick right there, because when you get a new ball and it's raining like this, that thing is incredibly slick. I mean, it's like kicking a fried egg.
In the past, the kickers and punters would spend all week doctoring the footballs to their liking. Some of them were experts.
Yeah, some of them would throw the football into the dryer at home and just let it rattle and rumble around, soften it up. And there you see the K right in the middle of that ball with a circle around it. That's a special kicking ball.
And there are 12 available for each game. They come in a sealed box to the officials' room prior to the game. And the new balls certainly have no effect on Ritchie.
It didn't affect that kickoff one bit.
Both of Ritchie's kickoffs have gone well into the end zone. The general feeling was the kickoffs would not travel as far as they have in the past, but that has not been the case today.
No, Ritchie's showing a real strong leg, and it's a good thing because Reggie Barlow, the Jaguars' return man, has the speed and the moves to take anything all the way.
So the 49ers with the 3-point lead. Jaguars from their own 20. 49ers have had the better of the field position so far in this first quarter. Brunell back to throw on first down. Airing it out. Penalty flag, and the catch is made by Jimmy Smith inside the 49ers 25-yard line. A 57-yard pickup.
Mark McMillan got clearly beat by Jimmy Smith's speed, and he grabbed hold of him, tried to yank him down, didn't do him a bit of good.
Bernie Kukar.
Interference, 29 defense, penalty has declined, first down.
'49ers get caught in an 8-man front. Look at the left side of your screen. See Tim McDonald, 46. He runs up to build the 8-man front. That leaves Lance Schulters in the middle of the field, and Mark McMillan man-to-man with only help in the middle on Jimmy Smith. That is dangerous territory. Smith has the moves and the speed to beat you deep.
Ken Norton Jr. says hello to Fred Taylor in the backfield.
Loss of 2, second down.
You know, and again, Kenny, going back to what we said, what Jim Moore wanted to give these guys, and it really is a wonderful thing for a linebacker or defensive lineman to say, hey, look, here's your gap. You go get it. The ball is snapped. Here you go. It lets them be so much more decisive, and it lets them get to the other side of the line of scrimmage. We've seen a lot of that today from this 49ers defense.
Loss of 2 on the last play. 2nd and 12. Deep drop by Brunell, in trouble, dumps it off for Taylor, and he loses 2 more yards.
Oh, that was an outstanding tackle by Schulters.
Pass completed to Fred Taylor, brought down behind the line by number 30, Lance.
And that's no easy thing either, because Fred Taylor, as I said, he has it all. Fred Taylor has speed in the open field, and he has incredible elusiveness. So when he catches that ball out there, it's one-on-one, and Schulters did a great job coming up and getting right low on Taylor. Don't look at his upper body. Don't watch his shake, his head, his shoulders. Go right at those knees and ankles and wrap up.
3rd and long, 3rd and 20. Brunell with time. And the catch is made by Reggie Barlow, the 3rd wideout for the Jaguars, but not nearly enough for the first down.
And that's just smart play by Mark McMillan. Mark McMillan, a very buoyant personality. We talked to him yesterday, and he's gone through, like, he's 5'7", so everyone talks about how short he is. He said, hey, I wasn't short until I got to the NFL. When I played at Alabama, there were a lot of other short guys.
They call him Little Mac.
And he thrives on it.
And here's Mike Hollis, the most accurate field goal kicker in league history. At over 81%, this a 41-yard attempt. And Hollis has tied the score. He has now hit 19 in a row. his last 18 last season. And Hollis ties the game at 3 with the 41-yard field goal. Well, Tim, next week on Fox NFL Sunday, the Arizona Cardinals head to Florida to battle Dan Marino and the Dolphins. Some of you will see these same San Francisco 49ers against the New Orleans Saints. It all starts at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Fox. Ricky Williams in his NFL debut, 10 carries, 40 yards before he left the game.
Yep, a reoccurrence of that ankle injury, and that's going to be big to see if he can get back next week to take on these 49ers at home.
Saints beat the Carolina Panthers today, 19-10. So Mike Ditka's club off to a 1-0 start.
Now, I think the Saints are going to be a good team this season. I think they're going to be a team that can be in the playoffs. It's going to be a wild card contender. They've got an offensive line that I think is as strong and as powerful as any. Kyle Turley, the right tackle. Wally Williams, they brought in through free agency. These guys are big, tough, and mean. And if Ricky Williams gets healthy, they're going to have a run game.
The 57-yard Brunell to Smith. Pass, the big play during the scoring drive. This is R.W. McQuarters across the 25, still on his feet. Taken down after a 38-yard return by Jason Kraft.
Hey, this is just outstanding blocking here by this 49ers return team. I mean, McQuarters has the speed. He's got the vision. But watch it here. You're going to see Jaguar special teamers all over, knocked on the ground, cut down, blocked out of it. So that's a nice special teams play, an all-around team play.
And Tim, the 49ers again come out with 4 wide receivers on first down. Young's pass to Rice, his first reception of the season, and the 1,140th of his career, which extends his league record.
Hey, that was a nice job by Fernando Bryant. Look, I know Steve Young connected to Jerry Rice on that slant pass. That is going to happen to you. But how many times, Kenny, through the years have we seen Jerry Rice catch that slant and just keep going, brother, all the way to the end zone? Again, the Jaguars wanting to contain those receivers. As soon as they catch the ball, they need to bring them down.
Charlie Garner on 2nd down and 2, straight ahead for 1 yard. Kevin Hardy made the tackle.
And that's the zone blitz. You know, that's what Dom Capers, both coordinators today, Kenny, coming into this season doing kind of similar things. Capers using his zone blitz that he used so effectively with the Pittsburgh Steelers as the defensive coordinator, that he used so well in his first couple of years with the Carolina Panthers as a head coach. And there he is there, the guy on the left side of the screen sitting down with the glasses on. That's Dom Capers.
3rd and 1. Lawrence Phillips bottled up. And the Jaguars defense has stopped them.
Wow. Larry Smith, the rookie right here from Florida, just reestablishes the line of scrimmage. He's on the right-hand side of the screen. 94, Larry Smith. He just pushes right into the backfield. And then Donovan Darius comes up, the strong safety. He is an aggressive, strong young player. And he's from Syracuse.
Yes. Why did I have a feeling that would make its way in?
Well, you always have to pump up your homeboys.
Low snap. And Stanley's punt. Good hang time. And a fair catch called for by Barlow at the 16-yard line. 35-yard punt by Stanley. We talked about some of the games next week. Arizona heading down to Miami. How about the Cardinals coming back from a 24-6 deficit to beat the Eagles 25-24?
Kenny, it's about the quarterback. You know, Steve Mariucci knows it. That's why he's so thrilled to have Steve Young. Tom Coughlin knows it. That's why he's got a smile on his face, because he's got Mark Brunell. The Arizona Cardinals have got Jake Plummer, and if you have a quarterback like any of these 3 guys, you are never out of it.
1st and 10 Jaguars from the 16. Taylor over 1,200 yards a year ago, but he is wrapped up for no gain by Gabe Wilkins, the former Green Bay Packer who missed half of last season with a knee injury.
Well, I like this Jacksonville offensive line, especially the tackles. Vaselli on one side, Searcy on the other side. I think they're a little young in the middle, but no two better guys to bring them on, lead them, and teach them than Searcy and Vaselli.
2nd and 11, the quick slant to Jimmy Smith. His second catch of the day. Breaks a tackle down the sidelines for the first down. Tremendous effort by Smith, a gain of 17.
Boy. You know what? With Jimmy Smith, you're cursed if you do, you're cursed if you don't. If you play short on him and up, he'll beat you deep. If you play off him, as Mark McMillan does on this here, he'll catch the ball, and he has such elusiveness and speed that he'll come up with a big play either way. He is an incredible football player. More yards in the last 3 years than any other receiver in the game of football.
First down from the 32 as Taylor worms his way across the 35 to the 37-yard line.
And I think that if the Jaguars are going to have success, they're going to have to learn throughout this game that they're going to have to do what they did in that play, cut it back. Because they're seeing now and they're learning that, hey, the 49ers are going to bring either Schulters or McDonald up, build an 8 in front, hit these gaps. So what you got to do is get them going one way and cut it back the other.
2nd and 4, McCardell in motion. Here's Taylor again. No place to go. Marvin Washington, who won a Super Bowl with the Broncos last year.
No, Marvin.
Stop.
I'm sorry, Ken. You know, Marvin Washington came to, new addition here to this defensive line, and he doesn't have the pass rush ability that Roy Barker had, who he replaced, but he's just as strong against the run.
Longtime New York Jet, was with the 49ers 2 years ago, then went to Denver, now back. 3rd and 6, 4 wideouts. Brunell over the middle. R.W. McQuarters is climbing up the back of Reggie Barlow. No flags, and the Jaguars will punt.
When we talk about the importance of a quarterback, and Tom Coughlin loves Mark Brunell, one of the things we wanted to do, and we've seen it so far here today, 3 steps with Mark Brunell. Drop him back and get rid of that ball quickly so that he doesn't have to take the sacks and take the hits and take a chance of injuring Mark Brunell.
Barker from the 25, good kick. And it rolls into the end zone. A 64-yard punt by Brian Barker.
First down, 49ers at the 20.
Kenny, this team, if the Jaguars are going to go to the Super Bowl, if they are going to be the team from the AFC, they need this man, Mark Brunell. They need him, and without him, they are not the same team. And you see here in the last 4 years, I talked about it a moment ago, he's been sacked 150 times, the most of any quarterback in the National Football League.
Guess who's second?
Steve Young.
Yes. Here's Young and the 49ers on first down from the 20-yard line. Charlie Garner is met by Tony Brackens.
Yeah, nice job by Tony Brackens. Brackens is a guy who has the athleticism, and he shows bursts of playing, like a Charles Haley, like a Lawrence Taylor. But sometimes he doesn't play the run as well as he does the pass.
Well, that will do it for the first quarter from Jacksonville with the 49ers and the Jaguars tied at 3. Fox NFL Sunday continues after these messages and a word from your local station. Kenny Albert, Tim Green back in Jacksonville. We expected a high-scoring game. That has not been the case so far, at least over the first 15 minutes.
Well, both defenses doing a great job of shutting down the other team's run game.
And these defenses ranked 23rd and 25th in the NFL a year ago. Young's pass to the far side is gathered in by Terrell Owens, his first catch of the day for a gain of 8.
Real nice blitz pickup by this 49ers offense. Dom Capers brings the heat right up the middle. Kevin Hardy and Tom McManus come from the inside. They flood the A-gaps. Watch him here. Look at him right in the center. They flood the A-gaps. Look at that blitz pickup. Give Steve Young the time he needs to find Terrell Owens. And a nice stretching catch by Owens. Look at that.
Owens stopped just short of the first down marker. 3rd and 1. Young rolling to his left. Under pressure. Thrown to the turf. Kevin Hardy.
Oh, that's a big play. That is so hard to do. That is so hard to do. How many defenders do you see get out there in open space with Steve Young and miss him? Nice pressure by Brackens. Watch Kevin Hart. Look at the athleticism. Look at him. That is brilliant tackling.
So the rookie Chad Stanley getting set to punt for the 3rd time. Reggie Barlow in single safety. Good kick by Stanley, forcing Barlow all the way back to the 18. Barlow taken down at the 33-yard line by rookie Pearson Prelo. 58-yard punt, 15 on the return by Barlow. Setting up the best field position of the day for Jacksonville. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, 2 of baseball's best teams get together, the New York Yankees and the Cleveland Indians, plus other regional action. It all starts at 12:30 Eastern and Pacific. Check local listings.
Yeah, the one I want to see, though, is the Royals and the Oakland A's. Oakland A's rookie pitcher Tim Hudson, 10-1. They're still in the hunt.
In the hunt for the wild card in the American League. Here's Brunell now rolling left, and he hits the tight end. The free agent from the New York Jets, Kyle Brady, for a gain of 9.
Mark Brunell pass complete to number 80, Kyle Brady.
Lee Woodall shaken up.
When you talk about Mark Brunell and you talk about his ability to run, you see it on that play right there. He rolls out. He waits, he's patient, he searches, and then when it seems there's nothing there, he waits for his tight end, Kyle Brady, to come up. Look at Brady right there, wide open, and a huge target. 6'7", leaps up. Brady does a nice job hanging onto the ball, and then he uses that big body, not only to break the tackle of Lee Woodall, but to stretch. I mean, if you're 6'7", you can stretch for another 2 yards, 2.5 yards.
Woodall, the 2-time Pro Bowl linebacker for the 49ers.
Well, I think that Lee Woodall, he struggled last season. And I think a lot of the reason was he was very dependent on Gary Plummer, the former inside backer for the 49ers, who's now doing the color radio for the 49ers. And Plummer really worked hard to help Woodall and help him and coach him out on the field. And I think when Woodall lost that, he lost a little bit of his game.
2nd and 1 for the Jaguars from the 43. Fred Taylor close to the first down marker. Marvin Washington made the tackle.
Brought down by number 95, Marvin Washington. Timeout for a measurement.
We welcome those of you who have been watching the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins. An exciting overtime game on Fox. Won by the Cowboys 41-35. Kenny Albert, Tim Green from Jacksonville. The teams exchanged field goals in the first quarter. The San Francisco 49ers and the Jacksonville Jaguars on a rainy day here in Jacksonville. And the Jaguars facing a 3rd and inches.
And so far, most of the offense that we've seen so far here today has come in the form of the passing game. Neither team able to run the ball effectively against a revamped 49ers defense and a revamped Jacksonville Jaguars defense.
So following the measurement, it will be 3rd and inches for Mark Brunell and the Jaguars. Double tight end set. And with the fullback Shelton leading the way, here's Taylor, and he may have been stopped short.
Yeah, and he was stopped short by Bryant Young. The 49ers yesterday said, everyone, if we have Bryant Young in the game, we are a different defense. We are a different team. Young has the strength, and he has the quickness. Watch him here. Burst, 97, bursts right through the line of scrimmage, down the line, makes this tackle, allows the rest of the 49er linebackers to pile on and stop. That was a huge play by a huge man with a huge heart.
With an 18-inch titanium rod in his leg.
Unbelievable.
Walker's punt is a fair catch by R.W. McQuarters, 47 yards on the punt. 3-3 the score from Jacksonville. We'll be right back.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
Back in Jacksonville, 49ers and the Jaguars tied at 3. San Francisco will start deep in their own territory.
Kenny, neither team really able to move the football. Total first downs only 3 and 7 punts. Not what you would expect from these two teams with these two quarterbacks and these two teams receiving corps.
But there is still a lot of time left.
Oh, yeah. Well, really, you have to credit both defenses.
48 offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
False start. Tight end Tony Klein. So this will push the 49ers even deeper. First and 15 from the 6. Young looking downfield, and it is picked off. Carnell Lake. But he trapped it. So it will be second down for the 49ers.
Steve Young gets away with one here. Here come the Jaguars. They put the pressure on Young. Young's got the mobility to get himself outside the pocket. Tommy Vardell did a great job getting open downfield. And Young does the very difficult thing of trying to throw across your body. Carnell Lake was just waiting for it. Great reaction by Lake.
And Tom Coughlin may challenge. They may head up to the instant replay.
The ruling on the field was an incomplete pass. There is a challenge.
Well, we've only got one angle of it, so we're going to take a look at it. Now remember, for the play to be overturned, for the call on the field to be overturned, there must be conclusive visual evidence, indisputable visual evidence that the call on the field was in fact wrong.
And remember, they will be looking at our replays, the television replays.
I saw that ball bounce up in the air. I don't know if we have the ability to slow it down and stop it. The key, I think, is when he turned. The official has his headset on. Now, the 90-second clock does not start until the official looks at the monitor, until he goes into the hood, and there he is. So now the 90 seconds begins. They have 90 seconds to either overturn the call or the call stands.
And there are 4 NFL officials up in the replay booth handling the equipment. Now, if the challenge is not upheld, Tom Coughlin will lose a timeout.
Take another look at it. The key is when Lake spins around, because the ball does come out. The question is, see, there it is. It's loose. Boy, I don't know. We just can't see it.
So far today, there have been 8 challenges. 2 of the 8 have been upheld. Now, after 90 seconds, Bernie Kukar will not see anything else. The replays will be shut off. He has 90 seconds to make a decision. If it's not conclusive, the call stands.
I think this call is going to stand.
So Tom Coughlin challenging for the first time. Here comes Bernie Kukar.
After reviewing the ruling on the field, the play stands is called incomplete.
So Tom Coughlin and the Jaguars lose a timeout. They challenged the call, and the replays were either inconclusive or they showed that the ball definitely did touch the ground.
And I think it was that they were inconclusive.
Crowd obviously not happy about the call. 2nd and 15, 49ers from the 6-yard line as Young throws it out of bounds.
Boy, Steve Young looks like he's being affected by the rain. Now, instant
Jacksonville
replay rule.
was charged with a timeout.
Before the 2 minutes of each half, each team has 2 challenges per game. So Coughlin used 1, they don't have another. They weren't successful, they lose the timeout. Inside 2 minutes, the replay official up in the booth, he institutes the reviews, and he can do it as many times as he wants. And the referee, as we said, he'll make the calls within 90 seconds of beginning the review.
So Jaguars have only 1 challenge left, and they lose a timeout. 4 wide receivers. Young scrambling along the goal line, a penalty marker, and is this one picked off? Jaguars think so. Aaron Beasley, it was.
This Jaguars defense, Kenny, is doing exactly what the Jaguars brought Dom Capers in here to do. Let's get heat on the quarterback. Let's get in his face, and let's create turnovers. Outstanding pass rush by Tony Bracken's number 90, Joel Smengi 99. They flush Steve Young from the pocket, and Young makes a poor throw. Beasley comes up with the interception.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers. By PSI Net, the internet starts here. By Nike. And by the brewmasters at Budweiser, who remind you that fresh beer tastes better.
Jaguars start their drive from the 49ers 27-yard line. And a nice catch made by Kyle Brady, his 2nd of the day, as he slipped a gain of 4.
And so far, Kyle Brady doing what the Jaguars wanted him to do. A lot of people said, whoa, they pay too much money for Kyle Brady, free agent from the Jets. But the Jaguars wanted to bring him in to add a new element to the passing game. He's a good blocker. He's solid. He's a big target out there. So far today, he's done a nice job catching the ball.
Fred Taylor averaging only 1 yard per carry so far. Penalty marker on the play as Taylor was taken down by Jim McDonald. Taylor only 10 yards on his first 10 carries.
You know, Taylor has incredibly deceptive speed. When he gets out in the open field, he doesn't look like he's moving that fast, but man, is he moving.
Holding, 80 offense, 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
That's Kyle Brady, and it was clearly a holding, and that play was clearly what sprung Fred Taylor to the corner. Watch it at the top of your screen, the left-hand side there. Watch Brady. He's blocking the linebacker. He gets his hands on. Watch it here. Look at this. There's the tackle. I mean, he just flat out tackles Anthony Peterson. It's a nice call by the officials.
Peterson, who replaced the injured Lee Woodall, who was questionable as far as returning to today's game with a left hip pointer.
Lee Woodall is a tough, fast player, and as I said yesterday, he had a kind of a down year last year, and I know that he was anxious to get back this season and get himself right back up to the productivity that he showed in '96 and '97.
He's gone to the Pro Bowl twice. Second down, 16 from the 33. Brunell's pass is deflected, and then the catch was made by Zach Wiegert, the right guard, after the tip by Junior Bryant.
Outstanding job by Junior Bryant. You know, if you ask anyone in this 49ers organization, you say, who's the unsung hero? Almost everyone will reply, hey, it's Junior Bryant. He does all the right things at all the right times. He reads the offense. He knows where to be. He's always in the right spot, and he's in the right spot on that play.
So Wiegert, the former Ram, credited with his second career reception, but a loss of 3.
An important play by Wiegert, because if he doesn't pull it down, you know, that's interception territory for the 49ers.
Brunell on 3rd and long, steps up, looking for Jimmy Smith. Incomplete.
Beautiful job by Darnell Walker. Great body position. He gets deep. He stays right over the top on Jimmy Smith. He stays to the inside. This is just disciplined play by a cornerback. You know, we know Smith is a deep threat. And look at the body position here. Look at that. Perfect. Walker put himself in better position to catch that ball than Jimmy Smith did. That's a big series for the 49er defense to come in after the interception and shut the Jaguars down without a score.
And the Jaguars unable to keep it out of the end zone. 36-yard punt by Parker. 9:17 to go. First half. We are tied at 3.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Visa, the preferred card of the NFL. Visa, it's everywhere NFL fans want to be. By Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, this is the taste. By E-Trade, it's time for E-Trade. And by GMC, do one thing, do it well.
Back in Jacksonville, 49ers and the Jaguars tied at 3. Only 3 first downs in the game combined. Charlie Garner taken down a yard behind the line of scrimmage. Garner coming over to the 49ers after 5 years in Philadelphia, along with Lawrence Phillips, looking to replace the injured Garrison Hurst.
And I don't think Charlie Garner is a bad replacement either. If you look at Charlie Garner's career, when he's out there and playing, when he was with the Eagles, he had some fine football games. I mean, he had a very high average per carry.
Young on 2nd and 11. Here's Phillips out of the backfield, spins across the 25-yard line, a gain of 5. And now for an NFL update, let's return to James Brown at the Fox Network Center in Los Angeles.
Kenny and Tim, Dallas comes back from 21 down to win it in overtime. Aikman, 76 yards to Rocket Ismail. The safeties bit on what they thought was going to be a run play. Troy Aikman, first ever 5-touchdown game. Back to Kenny and Tim.
Hey, JB, I don't know who said it, if it was Chris or Terry or Howie, but those guys are right. As long as you've got Aikman and Irvin and Emmitt Smith, you got a team.
Young intended for Rice. Big hit along the sidelines by Mike Logan.
Steve Young, pass intended for number 80, Jerry Rice, broken up by number 32, Mike.
Now, Logan does a nice job of just putting it to Jerry Rice. You know, there's no question that this 49ers passing game is being drastically affected by the weather. By that wet ball, it's slick. Steve Young can't believe it. 49ers can't believe it. Well, believe it, because that ball is slippery.
Short punt by Stanley. It does take a 49ers bounce. And it is down at the 36-yard line. 39 yards, including the roll. Midway through the second quarter from Jacksonville. For 50 years, the stars have gathered on television's biggest night. This year, the Emmys come to Fox. Be there as television honors its finest. The Emmy Awards pre-show coverage begins tonight live at 7 Eastern on Fox. Also broadcast in Spanish on your SAP channel. Following football.
Yeah, now that's not the one where all our studio show guys and John Madden collect all the trophies. This is the prime time stuff. This is Ellie McBeal, etc.
That's right. That would be the sports Emmys. As Brunell's pass is complete, Jimmy Smith, only the third first down of the game for the Jaguars. A pickup of 13 yards.
The Jaguars do a pretty nice job of protecting Mark Brunell. Gabe Wilkins, he slips by at the last second there, but Brunell has enough time to find Jimmy Smith. And again, you see the defensive back playing off. Darnell Walker plays off, respecting Jimmy Smith's speed. And Mark Brunell has been pretty doggone accurate in this wet weather. Look at that, 8 for 11.
3 of the game to Jimmy Smith. Fred Taylor.
There he goes.
Well, Taylor finally bursts out. He had 10 yards on his first 10 carries, 15 on this one.
Well, the first thing Taylor does is he starts out by slapping Gabe Wilkins' hand down right at the line of scrimmage. Watch it here. Look at that. He slaps the hand down, and that's what gives him the corner, and then he just has, really, his speed is incredibly deceptive. I think Taylor's speed and the way that he runs forces people to take bad angles tackling him downfield.
Taylor told us on Friday, running is natural. That's the easy part.
Yeah, well, he started out, when he came here last year, a lot of people said he was a first-round bust. He was a high pick, 9th in the draft, and a lot of people thought that the Jaguars overreached themselves. When he came to camp, he said he felt like he was overcoached a little bit, and maybe in his own mind he was listening and trying to take a step here and make this read there. And he said, hey, finally, I just said, hey, I got to run. I got to just run with my instincts. And once he did that, he exploded.
Over 1,200 yards as a rookie. Empty set, nobody in the backfield. Brunell over the top, and the catch is made close to another first down. Jimmy Smith, his 4th catch of the day.
And this is what the empty set gives you. It's what everybody's talking about. It's what the Broncos used so effectively last year. And you see, look at the receivers up top there. There's 3 there. There's 2 at the bottom. So what you end up with, right here, you end up with Jimmy Smith being covered by a linebacker. Ken Norton, a linebacker, has to cover the league's most prolific receiver over the last 3 years. You don't want that.
Taylor tripped up on first down by Bryant Young.
And that's Bryant Young's speed. You know, he has it all. I asked Steve Mariucci yesterday, I said, you know, it seems to me that Bryant Young doesn't have any flaws. As a football player and as a human being, I mean, he's gentle, he's kind, he's polite, he's a gentleman. And Mariucci looked at me and said, yeah, you're right, he's perfect. I hope my kids grow up to be like Bryant Young. And you know what, Kenny? I hope my kids do too.
2nd and 10, another empty set, no backs. And Brunell to Keenan McCardell, his first catch of the day.
And again, it's a mismatch. It's a mismatch. Lance Schulters is a safety. Keenan McCardell is an incredibly effective wide receiver. You don't want Schulters on McCardell. You want to have a cornerback on McCardell. There's Schulters right there. He doesn't do a bad job, but it's a mismatch.
The empty backfield, the new trend in the NFL?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And it's working for the Jaguars.
2 tight ends, 3rd and 2.
See, now Brunell brought Brady back here for the protection.
Delay a game, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
It's okay. Mark Brunell wants to take that. He saw the Niners crowding the line of scrimmage. He saw Tim McDonald lined right up on the line of scrimmage. They were going to come on the blitz. And so he moved Kyle Brady into the backfield to help him with the protection, to protect what is his backside because he's a left-handed quarterback like Steve Young. And it just took too much time to do it. Another great guy, Tim McDonald. Great player, coach on the field, smart, studies the game, gentleman.
Play clock again winding down, and Brunel this time calls timeout.
Now, remember this. Tom Coughlin could not get an offensive coordinator in the offseason. And so he made himself the offensive coordinator, and he's trying to do a lot of things out there, and I think it may be gumming up the works. Back in Jacksonville, where Tom Coughlin controls everything, from the media relations to the players' contracts to the coaching, and being the offensive coordinator is a monumental job in itself. To be the offensive coordinator and also to be involved in everything that's going on with the defense is really next to impossible. But if anyone could do it, I mean, Tom Coughlin could do it,
yes,
because he works harder than any person on the face of the earth.
3rd and 7 following the timeout, and Brunel to Smith again, his 5th catch, and Jimmy Smith is over the 100-yard mark in the first half.
And what's happening now is this Jaguars passing game is starting to take over. Watch Smith, it's an out cut here, and Mark McMillan just gives him too much. Now listen, McMillan is doing what he's told. He's being told to stay over the top, don't give up the big, deep play, and he doesn't. But if Smith makes that break in the out cut, you're going to give up 10, 15 yards.
Gave up 10 on that play. First down from the 14. Brunel swings it out. Taylor breaks the Woodall tackle attempt, breaks another tackle attempt, and picks up a yard.
Pretty exciting for 1 yard, isn't it?
A lot of work for 1 yard.
You know, he's got the moves. As I said right from the beginning, I really believe that Fred Taylor is the most gifted athlete at the running back position in the National Football League. Because of his speed, because of his size. I mean, he's 230 pounds. And because of his elusiveness. Watch him here. Look at that. He eludes Lee Woodall. He eludes Bryant Young. Yeah, he's still going. You have to bring a gang to tackle Fred Taylor.
And here is James Stewart making his return. His injury week 3 of last season led to the insertion of Taylor in the starting lineup. And we have hit the 2-minute warning. Jaguars on the move, driving towards the end zone, tied with the 49ers, 3 apiece.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Miller Lite. Taste a true Pilsner.